Hi, Domenica here from Easy Sewing for Beginners. In this video today, I'll be showing you how to sew on a button using the Brother XM2701 sewing machine. Now, before we get started, you need to make sure you've got your fabric, the button or buttons you'd like to sew on, the button sewing foot. This should have come with your sewing machine and it has a little M on it. And you also need the darning plate. It looks like this. So for the settings, I'm going to leave the tension on a 4. Now, if we come over to the width, the number we put this on will depend on the holes on the button. So I'm just going to put this at about a 3 for now, and we can come back to that after. And then for the stitch length, we're just going to put that onto F. Now for stitch selection, we need to make sure that we have it on number 3, the zigzag stitch. Next, you'll need to remove the current presser foot. Now, if you've just finished doing the buttonholes, you'll need to make sure that you've pushed this little buttonhole lever all the way back up, okay? And then press this little button at the back here to remove that buttonhole foot. If it's a bit stuck, just raise that presser foot lever there. Now, if you haven't checked out my video on how to sew a buttonhole using this sewing machine, then I'll link it in the description down below for you. Next, we're going to attach this button sewing foot. So I'm just going to raise the lever, just line up that little metal rod with the bottom of the foot and drop it down. Just give it a little wriggle if it doesn't attach, and it should click, and then you can raise it back up. Now, this particular machine does not have the ability to drop the feed dog, so that's why we're going to be using the darning plate. Okay, this will stop the button from wanting to move while you're stitching it. So you have a little gap here, so this needs to be placed under the needle. On the bottom here, you'll see these 2 little notches, and they will need to be positioned into these little holes on either side here, okay? Now, what I like to do as well, just so it doesn't catch the bottom bobbin thread, I just like to thread that bottom bobbin thread in through that little hole first, and then it won't get stuck under there, okay? And then we're going to slide it under. You need to lift your presser foot up a little bit, and you need to make sure. Oh, my needle's up. The needle is down a bit too low. I'm just put the needle up. You need to make sure those little notches are sitting in those holes. So I'm just going to position it. There we go, and it should click in. Okay, so that's all clicked in. Just double check that your needle is going to go down into that hole. We don't want to be breaking any needles. And you also need to be making sure that bobbin thread is coming up through that hole as well and not stuck underneath the darning plate. Okay, now the machine is all set up and ready to sew the button on. So I'm going to start by inserting the fabric underneath the presser foot, and I've marked a spot where I want the button to go. Okay, now I just need to raise the presser foot up a bit there. All right, I'm going to position the 2 holes in between the toes, I suppose, of this presser foot. All right, once you're happy with the position, I'm just going to hold that top thread out to the side there. Now I'm going to use my hand wheel to bring the needle down, and I can see that the needle is going down through one of the holes, and then because it's doing a zigzag stitch, it's going to go across to the next hole. Okay, and I'm actually pretty happy with the width of that stitch. It's not hitting the button at all, so I don't need to do any adjusting. If you find that it is not quite the right width, then you can use the width dial here and go higher with the number to make the stitch wider, or go lower to make the stitch narrower, okay? So I'm going to leave it on the 3. So now that I'm happy with how the needle is going through the holes, I can put my foot on the foot pedal, and I'm going to sew 8 to 10 stitches. All right, Just going to bring the needle all the way up to the top. Now the way that I like to do the securing stitches so it doesn't come unthreaded is I'm going to turn the thread selection dial onto number 2. So I'm on the straight stitch. Make sure that the needle is going up and down into one of the holes, and I'm just going to do 2 or 3 manual stitches there just to secure that stitch. Okay, once you're happy with that, you can lift the presser foot and pull the fabric out. Right, don't forget to snip your little thread tails off. Okay, now I've got one more set of holes, so I'm just going to put that back under the presser foot and sew the next set of holes. Don't forget to put the stitch selection back onto 3. So here's our button all sewn on with the sewing machine. Here's our buttonhole that we did in the previous video, and we have just sewn on a button and created the buttonhole without any hand sewing at all. How good's that? Now don't forget to check out the playlist if you want to see any other tutorials on how to use the Brother XM2701 sewing machine. And while you're at it, don't forget to check out the Easy Sewing Project playlist as well. I hope you found this tutorial useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!